Hey guys, how's your day going? Today we're going to go over the differences between the light and the dark sides of the Force to finally come to a conclusion on which side was really stronger. This is literally the topic that has made Star Wars what it is. The division of the Jedi and the Sith, the light versus the dark, the good versus the evil. So finally, which one is the strongest, which will prevail, and ultimately, which one will prolong one's life? For thousands of years since the capture of the Sith on their homeworld on Korriban, dark Jedi and Jedi alike have roamed the galaxy both in pursuit of power, but for different needs. The Sith for their personal gain and the Jedi for knowledge and protection. With Sith having powers such as these, to just name a few: Darth Vitiate, who drained the life of his home planet; Darth Scion, who became immortal despite multiple mortal injuries and a broken body through his hatred; Darth Sidious, who could produce a hyperspace wormhole that could destroy entire planets; and Darth Plagueis, who could manipulate midichlorians to create life. I want to showcase examples first from different parts of the movies to give evidence of the dark side's powers. Then we will examine the negatives associated to these and other scenes as well. Let's begin. This scene is from episode 1, where we see Qui-Gon Jinn lose to the evil Sith assassin, Darth Maul. If you haven't watched my 10 interesting facts about Qui-Gon, then I'll say this here. He was taught by one of the best duelists in the galaxy, Count Dooku, and his Force knowledge and powers were just as skilled to boast. He did, however, lose to Darth Maul, which I have a video on explaining in detail as to why. What I want to show is how Obi-Wan fought Darth Maul before Qui-Gon died, and then once he died, he drew upon his anger and fear in order to propel himself up the shaft, flipping over Maul and slicing him in two. I do strongly believe that if Obi-Wan didn't harness focus and his vengeance for Qui-Gon, then I don't think he'd be able to fly up the generator shaft without bending his arms as he did so in this scene. Now this next scene is from Revenge of the Sith, where we see Anakin use the dark side after Obi-Wan was flung across the room by Count Dooku. This helped him channel his hatred for the Count and in return beheaded him with his increased speed, stamina, ability, and power. Without Dooku pestering him to call upon his dark side powers, just like him and Palpatine agreed for him to do in order to test Anakin, Anakin wouldn't have used the dark side to tap into more of his hidden powers. Arguably he was stronger in this episode, but once he did start channeling into the dark side, he immensely increased his power levels. The next clip I want to show you is a tricky one. It's the fight between Mace Windu and Emperor Palpatine. Mace has an ability exercised through his lightsaber fighting style. This ability is called Vapad. It's a variant of the 7th lightsaber fighting form. Essentially what it allows the user to do is to harness the dark side of the Force and use it throughout their duel. The stronger the opponent in the dark side, the better for Mace in this case, as he would draw upon their dark side energies as well as his own to grow stronger with each attack. Just look at his Jedi group. They didn't last more than a few seconds with Sidious, whereas Mace's overall ability and fighting style is what allowed him to last as long as he did until Anakin's blindsided betrayal. The next and last scene that we will analyze is where Luke and Vader fight in episode 6, where the Emperor continues to tell Luke to draw on his dark side powers, and when Luke finally snaps once Vader teases at turning Leia, you see him completely shift his fighting style to a much more aggressive, induced rage, cutting off Vader's hand and bringing him to his knees. It's arguable that Vader really wasn't trying his hardest, but before that, Luke wasn't progressing much in the fight either, until he flicked the switch. Now that we've gone over the evidences of using the dark side in the movies, I want to go over how the dark side has failed. Let's go back to episode 1 again. With Darth Maul, while he's completely immersed within the dark side, killing Qui-Gon Jinn and almost Obi-Wan, it was his arrogance that ended his life. He was too full of his abilities, toying with Obi-Wan, allowing him the chance to kill him. In Anakin's case, during his battle with Obi-Wan, it was clear as day that Anakin had the upper hand. He was more aggressive, faster, stronger, and ultimately more dominant. However, it was his arrogance just like Maul that led him to his doom once Obi-Wan had the high ground. He became full of his abilities, overestimating his power, and ultimately failed because of it. In my opinion, I think it's safe to say that dark side users just push their limits harder. They really don't care what happens to their health or reputation, as long as they kill the opponent or reach the ultimate form of power known to the galaxy. When Yoda tells Luke that the dark side isn't stronger, he doesn't say the light side is. He merely shuts down the thought of it so that Luke won't follow the same path as his father did. If you watch my How Luke Had Thoughts of Becoming Darth Vader video, you'll see that in canon, Luke was tempted to join the dark side at the end of The Return of the Jedi, but ultimately, it was his decision after bringing Vader down not to end his life. Just like how Obi-Wan allowed Vader to kill him in episode 4, doing so allowed him to ultimately transcend into the Force itself, mentoring Luke for years to come, and providing an example for him to always make the right choice, which is exactly what he did in this scene, ultimately leading to Anakin's return, killing Emperor Palpatine, and bringing balance to the Force. What do you guys think? Is the dark side stronger, or is it just more flashy? Check out the other videos that will pop up in a few seconds, and I'll see you all in tomorrow's episode of Star Wars Theory. Tell me below what you'd like to see. I'm thinking either how Vader killed the Sand People after Episode 3, or a video of Darth Maul, followed by fanfiction the next day. Thank you for watching this episode, my fellow Jedi and Sith friends. I'll see you all tomorrow, and remember,
the Force will be with you always.